my whole team that worked for me knew this. They'd be like, which one am I getting today when they come into the office? Am I getting like boss Donna, money Donna, friend Donna? Which one am I getting? Today, I am like money boss Donna. Because for me, personally, over the last 2 years, I had mentioned yesterday I lost my father in June. And if I wasn't set up the way that I've set myself up financially, not just the volume of money, it's not just that, but the organization of my money, I would not have had the opportunity to spend the last 2 years with him in his house in New Jersey, back and forth. I'm 54. I literally got to hang out with my dad the last 2 years of his life. How many adults get to do that? And, right, not many. I feel so blessed. I feel honored. I have so much gratitude, and I would not have been able to do that if I had to work, right? So money for me got really interesting in 2005. And it got interesting because I had a salon. I know, is Elaine still in here or she left the room? She's peacing out. All right. So in 2005, I got divorced. My daughter was 2. I had a salon. It was my second salon. I had 52 employees at the time. Yeah, right. So that's like total. It's like hairdressers, shampoo, assistants, everybody. There was 52 of us there. It was a lot. And I had just, so that was in 2002, and I had just had my baby. So fast forward, had my daughter. A couple years later, I decide I want to get a divorce. And in order to get a divorce, what's the first thing that you think about? Am I going to be okay financially? How am I going to do this? Now I have a daughter. I had had a bookkeeper up until that point, and I won't go into the story of my like aha moment of like, if I don't take control of this for myself now, it's just a spiral. It's just going to spiral. I'm going to live a different kind of life. So I started saying, well, I need to learn about money. Well, where do you learn about money? Who do you call? You call a financial advisor, but the financial advisor only really wants to talk to you when you actually have money already, right? Your CPA or your tax filer really only wants to work with you to file your taxes. There was no real, like, I couldn't find anyway at the time, a mentor, like a money mentor, somebody of, no, I really need to understand like literacy. I need to understand the basics, the foundation. I need to understand how it works, how to organize it. So anyway, in 2005, I went Rain Man. I learned Excel, which I had never touched before this. I learned Excel. I learned how to formulate, and I learned about spreadsheets. Up until that point, I had literally no idea about money, how to organize it. So it's been a progression since 2005. Now I like Google Sheets versus Excel, and I'm pretty good at them. And I have a wonderful girl on my team that is not just good at them. She's a prodigy. She's 19 or 20 years old, and she has turned all of my vision that I have had for my system starting in 2005 and made it user-friendly for 2025. So it's a really beautiful thing. So today what I'm doing with you is going through some of the pieces that I would go over if I was working with you as a coach. Some of the pieces that are also on the system that if you were doing it self-guided. So the things that are printed out, who likes paper versus a computer? Yay! You'll get to start it on paper. I still recommend at least eventually go Rain Man a little bit and either get it in your own system, get it in something, or take Money Mastery because it's life-changing. All right. Who here feels really empathetic? Right? Right? This is a room full of empaths, right? Who here doesn't feel empathetic at all? Love it. It's okay. It's all right. It's all right. And then, you know, we care for others more than we care for ourselves, right? And in our industry, who's giving away services for free? Who's not raising their prices every year? Who's not tracking all of your business expenses and personal expenses and you're just like mashing everything together? Yeah, right. Okay. So today what I really want, without judgment, with no judgment at all on yourselves, because this hurts my heart, and I don't want my heart hurt today. With no judgment on yourselves as we go through this, it's here for a reason in front of you. You came through, Elaine, but now you're here, and it's all about the presence for yourself. You don't have to be an empath for anybody else in this room today except yourself. It's self-care. What I want to do today is some things that are a little bit hard, because if you've ignored money for a really long time, you're going to feel a little bit overwhelmed, because I'm going to start kind of telling you to open your phone, to look up some things, and you're going to have kind of like the screw this attitude. But some of you will. I've seen it. When you have this screw you attitude, I just want you to take the booklet at least home with you. Take it home with you. You're not going to get it done today. I have 90 minutes, and I have, 29 years of experience in the beauty industry. So I can only give you bits and pieces to get you started, but hopefully this is your push forward, and you can reach back to me next year when you come again and say, I really took it home and I did it. I made such an impact on myself. I made shifts. I made changes. You heard Gary say yesterday how much interest he made on a high yield. Elaine just said that she got tickets, airline tickets to Scotland. Good things happen when you organize money. Okay? It's not about the volume. I can keep saying that over and over and over again, because there's people that are, blue collar jobs, and they just have an organizational system that they follow strategically and with discipline, and they still end up being able to retire. I'm super passionate about money. I think our system that we have here is designed to keep us confused. Does anybody agree with that? Yeah? Just a few? Okay. I'll try and convince you all day long, because I work with people and work with their banks and their spreadsheets from the banks, and everything is different from one company to another. There's no standard for anything. It has to look like this so the people can learn. It has to be in this template so that it makes sense for somebody. Somebody's bank statement can end on the 10th of the month. Somebody else's is on the 1st. The bills are due on the 30th. The bills are due on the 15th. It's confusing. Hands down, it's confusing. Money Mastery does help you to set all that up and get everything organized. But regardless, you can do it on paper. I started on Excel and a lot of paper, because I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I just got to write this shit down, and I know eventually it's going to find a place. So, all right. Any questions so far? Yes. Are you talking about like for taxes and stuff? Yeah, sometimes you can and sometimes you can't. Who loves their tax filer? You do? Great. You like yours? Cool. Only a couple people. Who's meeting with their tax filer in October to prep for the end of the year? You are? Good. And you are? And you are? Good. And you are. So only 4 of you are meeting in October to prepare for the end of the year. I call myself a money organizer and a money mentor. I have the system and the knowledge and the expertise to teach people how to get organized with a lot of backside information. I'm not going to stand here and say, I can tell you what to claim, but I know a lot. But I'm not going to put myself on the line saying, oh, you can do that or you can't. No judgment zone. You could do this, but everybody's CPA who's your filer is going to should ask you questions if you can write something off or not. The best way to keep note of all of these things is through the year to have a system that you memo. Ask Joe Schmo if I can put this on my business. Ask this person if I'm writing off my car, or if I can just do the miles. Does that make sense? Okay. The system is created to confuse. It is, but I have horror stories, both for myself and for my clients, of how accountants have not served. So that's why we're here today, because this is about self. And if you understand your things and you're asking the questions, ChatGPT is your best friend, first of all. Ask Chat all of it. I use Chat on a regular daily basis. She, he, it is smart. So I utilize it. Right? So the important thing is that you're organizing it. You're organizing it with your notes and you're keeping track. I happen to not like QuickBooks, but I'll share why so that you understand. I think it's a great system for an accountant. QuickBooks sets you up to do your taxes with your accountant. The piece that's missing on QuickBooks is it's not a guide for serving you. It's a tool for keeping things to file your taxes. So I'll share the differences, but I'm not here to sell you today on my system, although I would love all of you to use my system. Make sense? The difference with my system in QuickBooks is QuickBooks, you're putting all of your money into a business. I call it like the self-storage unit. You know, when you drive to the self-storage unit, it's like garage door, garage door, garage door. So when you go to the garage doors, you're like, I know I put it in a garage somewhere, but I don't know where it is. It's just in there. It was filed. It's organized. At the end of the year, I have it. The difference with that and Money Mastery is Money Mastery has your business profile and all of your spending and your personal profile and all your spending. Who tracks their personal money? You're like a king, right? You need the crown. Personal money. If you're only focused on your business money and it's not serving you personally, is it really serving you? It's a flow. It's like the river. You need the river to flow down to your house, to your future, to your retirement. So the difference between Money Mastery is it literally links together both systems. So you can tag something that came through your Wells Fargo personal and you're like, oh, I was at Costco that day and it came out of my personal. You can tag it right there and it moves over into the other system and leaves you a note. So at the end of the year, you also credit yourself back that difference that you put on your personal account because you're taking credit for owner's draw, right? You're acknowledging your owner's draw or your salary or whatever that is. And if you start spending on your personal account, you haven't deducted that from that income and you're paying tax on that. That doesn't make sense, right? So that's just one of the things that I love for the Money Mastery. That was my goal because when I started to do it myself, I was like, but wait, I have this on this, you know, I work credit cards. I used to churn credit cards, which means that you understand all the benefits of them. And it was like a game of, okay, get this one new, lower that rate, do this one, get this bonus, get that bonus. I used to do all this. So I wanted as much credit on these credit cards as possible to to maximize on my points. So then when I would start to do, this is in 2005 on Excel, I'd be like business, personal, business, personal, business, personal, business, personal with a little P and a B. Now my system pushes all that over automatically. So you can see your profit and loss on one. And I also believe as a human being and a person, we have a profit and loss on our own, right? On our own, we also have the ability, I'm going a little bit farther than my slides, so I'm sorry, I'm going to back it up in a second, but I'll just share this. When you're doing your own money, I call it wants and needs, or needs and desires. So we need things. We need a roof on our head. We need gas in our car. We need food in our house. We need certain things in our house. And then we have a desire. I desire to buy these pants. I desire to go on vacation. I desire this. And a lot of us, when we're looking at our home money, if we do look at our home personal money, we're looking at that whole basket of things, right? So it's like, oh, I'm really expensive. I cost like 10 grand a month to live. Jeez, I don't know how I'm ever going to do this. That's a lot of money. So in my system I build in, is it a need or a desire? Is it a need or a desire? And it was a few months ago, I was in Rome with my girlfriend on the way to Bali, and she teaches yoga and we're talking and I'm like, Nicole, you really have to figure out your needs versus your desires. And I Rain Man in my head, I'm like, I'm like, wait, open my computer. I'm like, I only need, believe this, living in Spain, $32,000 a year to live joyously. Joyously. And I'm like, that's pretty easy. I can do that really easy. What else can I do? How much more can I make and invest? How much more can I give my daughter as a legacy? You know, this is amazing. So when you get funneled down and see everything in front of your face like this, it's eye-opening. I mean, it's life-changing. I'm like, I can hang out with my dad. I don't have to stress because money feels overwhelming when you don't see it, when you don't have it in front of you. Any questions? No? No? You ready? All right. So everybody has a money story, right? My money story was I went shopping with my mom when I was younger. She hated to go clothes shopping with me. And I wanted to get like a Gloria Vanderbilt. You might not know who that is, but some of you are going to. And I wanted to get these like Gloria Vanderbilt jeans because I thought they were so cool. And we didn't have a lot of money growing up. We weren't poor, but we weren't rich. And she just didn't like shopping with me, I think. And anyway, she didn't want me to get them. And then she was like, I was like, well, can I at least get Wrangler? And she was like, here's Maverick. So instead of like the W on it was like the M for Maverick jeans. And I was like, no, Mom, like I really need like one cool pair of jeans. And at that moment I decided I'm never relying on my family for money. I have to figure it out myself because I want Gloria Vanderbilts. So it's always been kind of a motivator for me. From 15 years old, I'm working, I'm saving my money, I'm doing it.
Did you get them?
Actually, my girlfriend, my next door neighbor, who's my best friend, felt so bad for me and she got $50 a week allowance. And she bought them for me. That's a true story. I am. Yeah. Traveling pants. I mean, amazing. So if you would think about your money story, it comes from somewhere. It can be deep. It can be from family history. It could be from how you're raised. But what I would love for you to do for a few minutes is to open your workbook, and there's a page that's listed for my money story. If you could take a few minutes, I'm going to put on some nice music again, and you guys kind of go into yourselves and think about your money story for a minute. I do have a couple questions around it. Who is mixing their money? Mixing your money is like, some of it depends on if you have a suite or if you're a salon, but mixing your money is still relevant with both. So mixing your money is like, I use one card for everything. It's your like go-to credit card. It's, I pay myself, I take an owner's draw because I need money to pay my home bills, but I'm not really organized with how I'm paying myself. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh shit, I need money back in my business. And then you move money from your personal account back into your business. And it's just kind of like this flow of not organization. Does anybody else do that?
How about I don't have my own suite, and I say I'm mixing it. I don't even do it because I don't even have my own shop. So I'm just answering yes to something.
No, but even as a hairstylist, I mean, hairstylists, even if you don't have your own place, you still have legitimate write-offs to be organized around, right? So to really keep it, who's paying themselves like a normal, regular, consistent salary out of their company? Congratulations. Really cool. Are you also bonusing yourselves? So at the end of the year, it's just kind of like you just close your books? Okay. And then who is like, how are you, let me hear from like two of you. How are you paying yourself if you're not organized with how you're paying yourself? Tell me.
I just sell myself. So basically, I wait until the end of the month when all of the expenses from the business are paid, like rent, payroll, like all the things are paid off, and then I see what's left over. I'm like, okay, I'll just send myself this, and then keep some of it in the checking account for a buffer for other.
So you're like closing books monthly, almost, with a little bit of a buffer.
Yeah.
Okay. Who else? And then I'll jump back to that.
I have a business account for the salon, but then I work behind the chair in my salon.
Right.
So I have one big account, and then the salon has an account, which is retail, and I pay rent to the salon.
Okay.
That's kind of...
So you get a double whammy write-off kind of thing? You pay to the salon weekly. I'm thinking if this is a good strategy. I'm going to think about this and maybe come back to this later.
Salon.
Right. And this covers all of your expenses for the building.
Retail is sold.
Also goes there.
It goes in that pot.
Okay. And do you pay yourself from there?
No.
Is it just enough to pay your bills?
Yeah.
There's not profit.
I mean, there probably is a smidge, but not
Okay.
exuberant.
Okay. And then you as a person, you just pay the rent and you're keeping whatever else because you know that all your bills are paid. Yeah. It's kind of like similar, right? Except you have this little like retail thing, just different setup. And then you paying yourself when you're keeping the rest of that money, you're behind the chair business.
Like a regular account, that's also what pays all the personal.
Okay.
I have one credit card.
Okay.
And then I just pay my credit card.
Okay. Who has an emergency fund? Emergency fund is having 3 to 6 months of bills in an account. I'm really proud of all of you that have your hands up. Those of you that don't, like goal 1 after you leave today is to start funding an emergency fund. So an emergency fund, that money goes into a high yield interest bearing account. You can look them up online. But the difference is when we were talking before about if I was putting into an emergency fund, what I thought I needed before at $10,000 a month, that would be 60 grand that I'd need to fund my emergency account. And that feels really overwhelming. But when you start really figuring out your needs and you're like, no, I don't need a lot. It's $2,300 or $2,400 a month times 3 times 6, whatever makes me feel comfortable to have that emergency fund. So get rid of all the desires, because the desires are not an emergency. The desires are, when we have enough abundance that we can do that. So we just want to have our needs in our emergency fund. High yield savings account is like you can get it back in 24 hours. Does everybody know what a high yield savings account is? Okay, so like a regular bank, you'll hear a story later, but a regular bank, if you had it in a savings account at TD, Wells Fargo, and you think that you're saving money and they're giving you interest based on the money that you have in the account, it's like 0.05. A high yield savings account is, right now I think it's like 3.4 to 4.3 on your money that's there. So it's an abundance of money versus no money. Because when you're getting 35 cents on your savings account, they are not, your money is working for them. It's not working for you. And every dollar that you have in every account, should be also making you money. And we'll talk about stocks and stuff like that in a little bit. Not really deep, because again, that's not my field. My field is about organizing it. But, if you have more than, this is what I'll say about a high yield. If you have more than $500 in a regular bank, I would suggest do your research on a high yield. I have 7 high yield accounts, all in the same bank, and one of them is emergency fund. The next one is monthly bill fund. The next one is Riley fund, my daughter, because she's going to get married and had college, so it's just kind of continuing, right? The Riley fund. And then I have my business bill fund. So I don't leave anything more than $500 in my Wells Fargo account. I do my bills once a month. It's the first Monday of the month when I do all my bookkeeping. I do it with the ladies on the group call, and we go through things. I pay everything, and anything, I move it in and I move it back out. Make sense?
So there are no limitations to withdrawing, transferring, and that sort of things?
I'm doing it once a month. I don't pay any fees for it.
I didn't know if there were any fees.
I mean, maybe if you're doing it often, but the whole point is that you're organized. So I'm doing it once a month. You're organized. I don't pay my bills the 10th, the 15th, the 23rd, because that's when things are due. The first Monday of the month, all of my bills are paid for the month, right? You were going to ask me something.
No, for the high yield savings, do you have to because I found a lot of things, like they want you to start with $10,000.
No. Heck no.
Okay.
No. I mean, you can open one just, I think $20, $10 maybe.
Okay.
So, I do like, just to give you a name, I think it's called NerdWallet. They're an affiliate company. They're going to make money from you clicking through the links. But I think it's Bankrate and NerdWallet. They give you a list of them. They give you the percentages all on one sheet. They give you, if there's a minimum payment, all of that stuff. So you could look there. Mine is with Barclays, but American Express has them. Chase has them. My daughter's is with Chase, and she's banking with Chase now. So it's just a matter of, moving it back and forth, which is really easy for her. All right. I asked enough questions. Does anybody have any other questions for me before I keep going and making you work more? You're all good? Cool. What? Barclay. Mm-hmm. Yeah. What is it? Marcus. Yeah, I see that one too. I did do a Sophie. I saw Sophie and I opened it, but then I was afraid I was breaking the law because it said you must be living in the U.S. And I was like, I'm not living. I can't lie. I don't like to. And I'm like, no, I don't need to open it. I already have the other one, but the rate was a little bit higher, so I was going to try and move everything. And I was like, no, I'll just keep what I have. I had that before I moved. All right. I saw this morning and I just screenshot it because I liked it and I wanted to share it with you. Can you read that? What rich people understand: money is a tool, not a goal. It's for buying freedom, not things. Time, not stuff. Options, not objects. Poor people buy things. Rich people buy choices. Wealth isn't what you have. It's what you walk away from. It's what you walk away from. I lived in what I would call the stupid big house here in America. I lived in Bucks County. I used 2 rooms in my house. It was like very minimal, the kitchen and my bedroom. and it was a stupid big house. And I call it that because since then, when I sold that house, I had 3 salons. I sold that house. I don't remember if I sold the salon first or my house first, but regardless, I moved into this tiny apartment in Doylestown above the Starbucks on the 4th floor. And it was this tiny little apartment, and I fell in love with it. It was so simple and so easy. And it was like just 2 little bedrooms, and it was so cute, and it was always really clean, and I didn't have to hire a cleaner, and I didn't have to do the landscape, and I didn't have to do all these things. And I really felt what that felt like to not have so much. Right? I was driving the same Lexus that was like moved me to salons, moved my house. It was like the leather was torn on the dashboard because I'm not like a good car caretaker. I just like slide things in and stuff like that. And I drove that till the day that I moved. And living in Ibiza, I have 2 houses. I have a 1-bedroom flat on the top, and I have a 3-bedroom flat on the bottom. So it kind of would look like a townhouse here. And I refit the top floor, and it's a 1-bedroom. I just feel so good in my space. I can't bring things in. Everything has a place. It's so nice. It's so easy. It's really this minimalistic lifestyle super serves me, and not the stupid big house. So this kind of reminded me of that. It's like, we're always trying to acquire in America. I need this. I need that. I want to buy this. I want to buy that. When I did Fierce Financials the first time, we were talking about Louis Vuitton bags. And it's like, okay, am I going to carry a Louis Vuitton, or am I going to put that money, if you're carrying that for 20 years, yeah, okay, it might still be worth a little bit of money, but imagine the interest on that if that was in an account. How important is the handbag, right? It's just like, I'm super simple now, like really simple. I don't care if I wear the same clothes. It's super simple, but I live free. I live really free, and it's a wonderful feeling that I wish that all of you could also have. All right, so I'm going to go into some stories, and I'm going to read this a little bit because I don't like to exaggerate at all. I had to change the names to protect the innocent, so if I say the name wrong, forgive me. But when Laura first came to me, she was super drowning in debt. I actually met her through Elaine a few years ago. She had about $80,000 worth of credit card debt. Okay? Not mortgage, nothing. And to top it off, in addition to the $80,000 of debt, her husband didn't know. That's what I did too. Come to find out from working with a lot of women now, that happens a lot. The women keep the deep, dark secret because they're paying the bills and their hubby doesn't know. So they just try and manage that on their own. But imagine the stress in the body when you're doing all of these things. It's intense, right? So in her case, let me just make sure. In her case, we did what we're going to do as the next workbook page, which is the debt. We got all of her debt listed with her interest rate, with her minimum payments, with what she owed. We got all of this together, and we figured out she was paying $22,400 a year in interest on this money.
A year.
Yeah. Okay. Sad. How do you get caught up? Because the system is meant to confuse you. How do you get caught up if you can't get caught up? So we can, in her case specifically, because that's a huge number, we did consolidate everything, and we got her a home equity line of credit. We got her into a HELOC. She did tell her husband. She's been making payments. I think she has 2 years left, and she'll be completely paid off. If that wouldn't have happened for her, she would literally be paying interest probably for the rest of her life, right? I love America that they give us money to open our businesses, to create our dreams, to find things that inspire us, to create inventions, to do all of these things. And it's not designed for us to get it paid off because those companies want to make money. That's why, again, it's about the self-care, that you get all your shit together so that you have a plan and a strategy going forward for how to borrow the money and pay it back and pay the least amount of money. Okay? If you're like, but I have this great card that's giving me so many miles, and I'm like, yeah, and you're paying like $3,000 a month in interest. You're not getting a free airline ticket, honey. You're not. You only get the free thing from the points if you're paying off your card every single month, right? So anyway, her new interest after doing this was $5,600 a year. So we did a 5-year plan for her. So yes, she was still paying almost $6,000 a year in interest, but much better than $22,000, right? Her 5-year savings from doing this was $84,000. So if she would have kept doing what she was doing and continued that way, it would have cost her 5-year savings. She would have spent this $84,000 that she didn't. Her investment with me for coaching was $7,200. So she had a net gain of $76,000 from us working together. Again, not preaching, but if you're in a money situation and you are somebody that needs help, let me know. I can help. For some of you, just do it. Just doing it on your own is absolutely enough. All right, so we're going to go into the workbook exercise. What you're going to do is you're going to open anything that you have debt with on your phone, hopefully, but you would want to log into credit cards like Chase and Visas and MasterCards and American Express. If you have Macy's and Kohl's and all these other little cards, literally log them all down. Even if it's a zero balance, put them all here. You're organizing all of your money. Creditors. You can put your mortgage here. There's two different debts. There's like the big debt, like the mortgage, the car loan. If you have space after your credit cards, yeah, write those down. If you're credit card heavy, let's just focus on those for you for today. Make sense? Make sense? Any questions? Her question was, how do I find out my interest rate? So if I believe, you can tell me if I'm wrong or right. When you log into your credit cards and you go all the way to that fine print, it will tell you your interest rate. So you might need to open a statement on some of those to see at the bottom. It'll say your interest rate, your annual APR, and then your due date.
But, they're not particularly transparent. They're not.
No, this is the thing. This is exactly, I'm so passionate about teaching people about money because of the coercion and the confusion that people have. And I've been doing it so long, I understand it. But if you don't understand it and you don't learn it, where do you learn it? I still don't see anywhere. I'd love to get, yeah, of course. Of course.
Business interest, okay? We
Yeah.
also don't tell our clients that the color costs $5 a tube. We charge them, $150 for their touch-up. But
Yeah,
but they're not looking out for me.
but that's a service business too, and your time and your expertise are also a part of that. This is just like they're loaning you money. It's a loan. It's like a shark loaning you money, and then they're going to make money from you borrowing the money. So
Maybe it will take you 27 years to grab your $3,000 balance.
yeah. Yeah, it's insanity. In the program you can put in, there's a debt section that you can put in all your different credit cards. It holds up to 10 or 15, I can't remember at this moment, but 10 or 15 different cards. After you have the strategy, I say put them in order chronologically, depending on which way you want to pay them off. And you can put into there, my minimum payment is this, and if I'm adding on this on top of it, how long will that card take me to pay off? So that's what I'm going to go into next, to actually give you a tool that you can take this debt and you have some kind of understanding how to get this paid off, right? There's a system for paying it off called Avalanche or Snowball. But if you're beyond the point of Avalanche or Snowball, there are other options. There's consolidation. There's a loan. Yes, it takes a little bit of work to do that. But the little bit of work is going to save you a lot of money.
Plus, you can't keep adding to it every month. You got to stop charging.
Yes, you have to get off the wheel of the charging. Yeah, there is some discipline involved. In living a simple life, it gets really easy to do that. You don't need much. But I sympathize and empathize for all of you that are walking around with debt on a daily basis. For me, if I have debt on my card, I feel heavy. I just feel heavy. It doesn't sit right for me. Like I know coming here, I probably have $8,000 on my card for flying here, doing my thing for my dad's celebration, printing things, the airline ticket. I'm flying my girlfriend back because I stayed with her for a couple of months when I was here with my dad for my own sanity. And I said, anytime you want to come to Ibiza, she's like, now. I'm like, great. So my credit card is jacked right now. I can't wait to go next month and pay off my credit card. I need to. I won't rest well. And I'm not paying interest for somebody, right? So let me teach you a little bit about it. So if you're, I can't even give you a number because it's relative with what you're bringing home and what you're making. But if you're at a number that you feel like is achievable, but you just haven't set a strategy yet or a discipline or a plan, if that's the feeling that you have, I just need to get it organized and I know I can handle this and manage it, then this would be one of the two things that you could do. My favorite is Avalanche. And I'll explain that one second, even though the snowball is second. Snowball effect is you take all of this debt in a list. The one with the smallest balance is your goal to get paid off first. So it means on all the other debt you have, you do not pay $1 more than what your minimum payment is. You with me? You have 5 cards. 4 of those cards with the higher balances, minimum balance is the only thing that you're paying, not $1 more, and everything else that you can sock into the lowest balance, you're paying off. When that one gets paid off, you take that amount that you were paying on that card and put it on your next one up. You see where there's discipline involved? You're like, oh, well, I was paying $500. Oh, I feel a lot lighter now. I don't have that $500 payment. And some people will spiral back down again. You need to say, no, now I'm taking that $500 and I'm putting it towards the next one with the lowest balance, plus the minimum balance that I've already been paying. So if you were paying $120, for example, that new payment would be $620. Make sense? If you like instant gratification, you're like, no, I want it right now, do that. If you are like me, like Rain Man, and you're like, no, I don't want to pay more in interest, that doesn't make sense. I'm saving a little, I'm doing this to have instant gratification. To me, that's like the cheat. Get your interest focused and in line and get that one that you're paying the most money to taken care of before that. So again, on this list, if you've written some stuff down on your list, you would put a number 1 on the highest interest right next to it. You don't know all your interests. Okay. So if you have this list, on the list, you would pick the one with the highest interest becomes your number 1. Second highest interest, number 2. Third highest, and go down. Make sense? You would do minute.
Doesn't matter how much.
Nope.
You just want the largest interest.
Yep. Yep. Because it's the most money that you're spending on the money. Really. Then the rest of them, you're paying minimum payment, not $1 more. And everything that you can afford to put on the number 1 interest, you're socking it on there till that's paid off. Again, in the beginning, I mentioned, if your debt feels manageable, this is the plan. If your debt is now unmanageable, it's a different conversation. If you're like, I have more in debt than I'm making a year, I have more in debt that I can pay off. That's different conversations. This is a manageable debt. $5,000, $10,000, $15,000, something like this, to me is a manageable debt for most stylists that you could pay off.
It just vanishes.
Yeah. It actually goes away. It's the people that are inconsistent. Well, this month I'm going to put 400 on that one and only 200 on that one. The next month you're putting 400 on that one and 200 on that one. You need to have a plan and a strategy, and you need to be disciplined to follow that through. And you'll be golden. Really. Okay? And then you can, next year again, you can say, Donna, I got all my credit card debt paid off. Thank you so much. And I'll be like, oh, yay, I'm glad I'm doing what I'm doing. This is great. Any questions around that? Anyone? Who's going home to do it? All right. Can you take pictures of each of the people raising their fingers so I can check in? Wait, do it again. Raise your hand. The people that are going home to pay off your debt. I am always an email or a phone call away. Seriously, I'm happy to help you guys, whether you do coaching or not. If you have a question related to today, my contact information is at the bottom. Send me a message. I just have a question.
So one of my things is the lease for my salon furniture.
The lease for your salon furniture.
And that's going to be, it's a monthly payment. It'll be done in, I think, 2 years.
Right.
And I feel like if you pay that off, they actually pay more.
You might pay in a lease situation a prepayment penalty for that. And your entire payment for a lease is a full tax write-off. So it's probably like a lease situation with a buyout of $1 or whatever the buyout is at the end, and then it's your equipment. If you're in an abundance of money, of income, I would keep that as an expense for you and not try to pay that off early, because it's completely, unless you're like, no, I don't need it. I don't need to have that. I'd rather pay it off, but then you're going to show more income maybe. It just depends on where your income is. Yeah, they do, because they've calculated. So if you pay off a lease early, they have to calculate from this day, you're going to pay less than you would carrying the lease forward. It's your payoff rate today. Like if you all called your mortgage and you said, I want to pay off my house today, it's going to be a lot different than if you pay your house off in 15 years. You know, you making an extra payment every year towards your mortgage, cut your mortgage by 7 years. One extra payment a year towards your mortgage, it cuts 7 years off. I mean, this is the stuff that I'm like, I live and breathe in. I love this stuff because instead of them taking the system from us and creating chaos for us, I create the system that I can learn how to not manipulate. I'm not manipulating anything. I just function within it. I know what the rules are and I try to organize around the rules that are there for me. Like, everybody's situation is completely different. It depends on your income versus your expenses. It depends on how much you're showing personally. If you're married and your husband, I mean, there's so many different caveats. So I can't give you a straight answer. It's not that I'm trying to manipulate it. I just can't tell you your situation without knowing all of the insight to it. You know?
So when you're paying towards your mortgage and you're saying you're doing an extra payment, are you applying to principal only?
Yeah. And not every bank will accept it.
You have to tell them. You have to personally
Yep.
put a Post-it note and
Yep.
say,
I did not know
But yeah. Yeah. I mean, they're really there to make their money. That's their job, is to try and make the money. You have to figure out again how you can go around that. Okay.
So if you have, like, say you have a mortgage that's like 2.9.
Yeah.
And you're doing that, like, so like what I do is I put extra in there to get my taxes at the end of the year, and then come July, if there's extra, I put it towards it. But if my interest rate's only 2.9, should I instead just be letting that loan go and taking that money and investing it in like a 5% yield card instead?
Okay.
Would that be a smarter money choice?
Thank you for asking the question. Who here is saving for retirement? Amazing. Is that in a 401k? Who's a 401k? Who's an IRA? Standard, traditional. Who's a Roth? Okay. Who's just saving it in an account?
I see these.
And life insurance.
Did you say socks or stocks? Okay. I wasn't sure. I'm like, did you say socks or stocks?
Hairdressers thing, we all have money in our socks.
Yeah. I mean, I love my financial advisor, and I hope that yours is serving you. I'm listening to a great book I was telling Bart yesterday, and I really like it. I know he's trying to sell some shit on there, but it's on Spotify, and it's Tony Robbins doing, ironically, my thing is Money Mastery System, and it's like Money Mastery in 7 steps. And I started listening to it. It's like 23-hour book, and every time I'm in the car driving, I'm listening to him. Money Mastery in 7 easy steps or something on Spotify. Yeah, Tony Robbins. And I really like it. It's informative. It's educational. It's just another perspective. The more information you have, the more you understand. So that's a nice little read for you guys. Does everybody understand how to do that? Like literally can take it home and organize and pay off your debt before I move forward? Yes? All right, Danielle's story. Who was Danielle? Okay.
It's not me.
I'm like, who is Danielle? Changing the names. So Danielle's story was, I started working together with her coaching, doing Partners in Possibility, which is just business coaching, team building, apprentice programs, blah, 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 business. And as I was working with her and different things would come up, because I have Fierce Financials and Partners in Possibility, things would come up and I'd be like, I'm seeing a lot of red flags here. I'm like, you're making really good money. All right, let's go back to Partners in Possibility. We're building out apprentice programs. We're doing the price increase. We're doing MOLA method. We're doing all this stuff. And I'm like, still a red flag. Can you please do Fierce Financials? Please. I'm seeing things and I need to look at your numbers. She goes through Fierce Financials coaching, goes through the money mastery system. So as it ends up, her accountant, true story, this is when we're talking about accountants, her accountant was filing her as an LLC and never made a recommendation for anything different. Everybody's situation is different. This does not apply to all of you here. It applies for her situation. She was doing about $165,000 in service sales a year herself, and then had two team members. So at the point that she was, with the deductions that she had, she was filing as an LLC. And I said, Dawn, you really need to be an S Corp. Let's get on a call with your CPA, and he's known in our industry. He's marketed through our industry. Somebody else is promoting him all day long. And I said, let's get on a call. And I'm angry at the situation because I feel like they're not serving her. And I've been not served by other previous CPAs as well. So we get on a call, and I tell you, they seemed really nice enough. They really seemed nice enough. And I said, listen, I'm not an accountant, but I just, we have this system and I'm seeing it. It just doesn't make sense to me why she's filing as an LLC. Shouldn't she be an S Corp? Can you tell me? I'm looking for your advice. Super nice, but I'm annoyed, but I'm super nice. You know what, Donna? I have to be honest with you. I wish, word for word, I wanted to pull up the video because I have it on a Zoom record. I wish that I had the time to look through all of my clients and their information to determine where they should be filing. She was on the call too. Danielle was also on the Zoom call.
Did he know that she was on the call as well?
Yes. It's stupid. So the three of us are on the call. I wish that I had time, but now it's tax season. It was March. It's tax season. And Danielle had never filed an extension before. And I said, is there any way that you could just look at her information to see if we can switch her to an S Corp instead? Well, we'd have to file an extension. Danielle, is it okay if we file an extension? Donna, I've never filed an extension. I'm like, babe, you're just filing an extension. It's okay. Better you pay less in tax than the time that this would take. She was paying $16,000 a year. Every quarter she was sending in $3,000 or $4,000, somewhere like between $3,000 and $4,000 something in her taxes. So it was like, you're working for a whole month of profit and then you're just sending it in kind of thing. And she wasn't organized around her receipts as much, but she was a paper journal, super amazing, smart, intelligent woman. So the CPA says, I can file an extension and I can look at it. And every year what he would do at tax time is he would make a little video. He would pull up the tax return. He wasn't even on the video, and he'd be like, this is your income, this is your this, with a pointer on the thing. And we agreed that we would file the extension for him to have the time to review it. And he reached back to her and sent the same exact kind of video that he did every year before. No mention of changing her to an S Corp. It's like he forgot overnight. He forgot overnight. I hooked her up, introduced her to the person that I used. They had a really good connection. That first year, she missed the filing cutoff to change her over to an S Corp because we put the extension on her taxes. So she still had to file as an LLC. And we saved her $19,000 that year. Yes. Just from the organization, from her having everything, getting, understanding all of her write-offs, moving the money, claim legal, straight up, no boundaries broken. So, these things really happen. So love your CPA or your tax filer or whatever you're using. But I would say if they're not meeting with you in October and doing a reach out, like, let's set your end of the year. Do you need to buy a car? Do you need to buy a computer? How much money are you showing in profit so far? The challenge is, if you're not organized around all of your money, what are you showing them in October? They're like, what do you got for me? And you're like, I don't know. It's chaos. So get organized around all your finances, personal and business, because they all have an impact for your taxes. And then you should be meeting with that person. It's just, so I would tell you ChatGPT that. It's the way that you can write your stuff off, the way that you can depreciate your things, the way that you can pay yourself for retirement. The rules are different. Yeah, do it. You can put into there, this is what I earn a year. Play with it. What should I be? All right, Kristen's story. Kristen, I started working with, and she was doing Fierce Financials. And Kristen, also, probably one of the hardest workers I've ever seen, behind her chair, working 7 a.m. to 10 a.m., never says no to anybody. And she has $85,000 to $90,000 in her, Wells Fargo TD account. And I said, babe, you really need to move that. Why are you keeping that in there? I'm not in a healthy marriage. I want to be able to walk out anytime I want. It's my safety number. I'm like, but if you at least do a high yield, you'd at least be earning 3 or 4%. And she's like, no, it doesn't feel safe for me. It took a lot, like 6 months of her being like, still not ready, Donna, still not ready. I just need it at my fingertips. I need it at my fingertips. Eventually she moved it over. So I'm going to show you the impact of what that looked like, because she had it in there for a minimum of 4 years before me. And then what that would look like if she kept that there. $85,000 in checking savings. This was her rate, 0.5, okay, 0.05. For 4 years prior, she earned $170, right? Her lost potential at a 3% rate for those 4 years prior, she lost $10,200 just by keeping it in her regular account. Okay? Added $20,000 a year in addition going forward after we get it over there, and she's still a saver, right? Year one, she ended up with 105, which brought her $3,150 in interest paid. Year two, she ended up with 125 because she's putting in $20,000 a year, $3,700 in interest. Year three, 145, $4,000. 3-year high yield savings total, she earned $11,250. That's money. That's your money working for you. Please, please, people, get it out of your regular accounts and put it in something that's paying you back, right? It's an impact of a $21,000 swing. It's a lot of money. Who's going to open a high yield savings account? I need an affiliate link. I really got to get an affiliate link with a high yield savings bank. All right. So then I didn't do this for her. I did this for you. I wanted to do a 10-year projection. So at the bank, if she kept that as a 10-year projection, she would have $285,000 in the bank going forward if she just kept it there for the next 10 years. At a high yield savings at 3%, she would have had $325,000. Now we're talking about investments a little bit. If she had the high yield savings cushion of $30,000 because she wanted access to that to make her feel comfortable and safe, but she also invested, for example, in the S&P, earning an average of 8% return, that $285,000 went to $405,000. Do you see the impact in just letting your money work for you? All right. So the workbook exercise, it's all of your assets. On the other side, it's all of your liabilities. You're not going to finish this today, but please go home and finish this. This says, if I decided to pick up and run today and pay off everything and just be at like, I'm not responsible for anything or anyone, I'm going to sell my house and just like go move to Ibiza, this would tell you how much money you have to do that. Some of you have spouses, right? I know that there's definitely people that can vouch for me here, that you've had a client in your chair and their spouse has passed away and they had no idea anything about their money. They were left in the dark because they weren't involved in it. I would recommend, I do have the vault binder, which captures it, but there's plenty of tools out there. You need to get with your spouse and do this together. When my dad was sick over the last 2 years, I brought him the vault binder and I said, Dad, I love you, but you're going to fill this out while you're dying because I know that in the end of this, I'm the one that's managing this because his wife is clueless about money, like completely clueless, had no idea. So we went through the vault binder. We put all of his money in there where everything was, made sure he had a will. We got him set up with a trust, got him set up with a medical directive. We did the whole shebang all together. And I'm so grateful that, again, I had that time with him, but also to do that because we see too many people that they lose somebody, they don't tell us when our expiration date is, and better to have something written down for somebody and not computerized. This is the one point you really need something on paper when you're leaving somebody your legacy. It shouldn't all be digitized because you never know if they can get in your computer and what happens from there. Okay. All right. So your net worth. So back to your net worth. This is, when you're looking at this at home, this is I do this quarterly for myself on the system. And it's my evaluation time of like, what's working, what's not working. Do I need to pivot? And it just kind of like grounds me and centers me again in my money. Like, how's crypto? How's Bitcoin? How's the stock market? How's CDs? What are the interest rates for my high yield savings so that I can make adjustments at that time? And again, I do it quarterly and that's in the system, but you can do it manually with this. Go color copy it and print it out again. And every quarter, put this in your calendar. Money, the number one thing in money is discipline. If you put it in your schedule and do it like you're doing all the other shit you like to do, it will happen for you and it will all come together. All right, Carolyn's story. Carolyn was kind of what I was talking about in the beginning, robbing Peter to pay Paul all day long. Okay? She took money out from the business without like a paycheck, more like owner's draw, put money back in, more like an investment, but wasn't really tracking it like that, would shop for things on the account. She was a big cash person, so she would keep every cash receipt instead of putting something through the bank, blah, 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 blah. She'd been doing this for 30 years, over 30 years. She was, at the end of the year, she would say, my owner's draw was $60,000, $40,000, whatever that was. Maybe the number is up here, I'm not sure. Reported $30,000 to $40,000 a year in owner's draw. But she didn't track the $20,000 a year that she put back into the business because she was robbing Peter to pay Paul and back and forth. So she was paying the tax on the 30 to 40, but she put back in 20 a year, right? And then the $12K a year for her personal expenses that she didn't even put through the business. Make sense? Doesn't make sense. But it makes sense there, but it doesn't make sense. So she was overpaying and paid taxes on money that she actually didn't keep. It was just that she was robbing Peter to pay Paul and didn't have the system to organize all of those things, to keep the structure.
I used to hate the night before I would come on because I knew what I was in for. And I just have to say to Donna, I'm going to cry because I think he changed our lives. And it's super deep, and I also spent some time with Donna at her house, and she's freaking smart, you guys. And I go here, and it's like, I can't wait.
That's a little piece. I love her. I adore her. I also met her through Elaine at one of her seminars, and she lives in Hawaii, and she's a magnificent person with a beautiful soul. She's super present, super confused when she started the system, questioning everything, not understanding, because I just explained her story of the non-organization and the robbing Peter to pay Paul. She is probably one of my biggest transformations, that she is only now doing it independently and jumping on monthly calls with us, and she has it. This is such an amazing, amazing thing. And I love her. So you can see here, if she was overpaying, if she was taxed at 25%, she overpaid $8,000 a year. In taxes. If she was taxed at 30%, she overpaid by $9,600. So just filing this way for 30 years, you ready? $80,000 in taxes overpaid at 25%. $96,000 overpaid at 30%. This is like retirement money. This hurts my heart. Not anymore. Not anymore. So in reality, if she was doing this, I can't even, I have to move off that slide. It hurts my heart. All right, workbook exercise. So I'm going to let you do this one at home also, and it is the retirement clarity. So retirement clarity is 2 questions at the top. I'm going to tell you that most of you will not be able to do this unless you know what your needs and desires are. That number at the top there is a need number, not a need and desire number. So as you go home and put all your little spending all together and you start doing need, desire, need, desire, need, desire, that number is what would go there. Because how are we supposed to know what we need to retire on if we don't actually know what we need? There's retirement calculators. I think I have one on my website, but it might be off right now, that you can put in your number and say, what do I need to retire comfortably? If that number is overwhelming, we don't go towards it. If you understand it and understand the timeline, we can go towards that because it's manageable, right? All right, this one I do want to do, and then we can close it after this. I do want to start. I want everybody to go to the back of the workbook where it has freedom vision. Yep. Yep. You got it. Just define your future. So you wrote your money story in the beginning. If you could just I'm just going to play one song. If you could fill one of these prompts out right now, there's 3 different prompts for you. Fill out one of those prompts right now so that you're going home with some kind of vision for your future, because we're all big manifestors and we want all this to come to life. And we need to tell the world that we're ready and we have it. All of you have filled my heart, taking the time and the energy to do this today. and to be present with it. I really, really, really hope that there was some kind of an impact today that's going to make you just think a little bit differently about your money and your finances and your freedom, your organization, and you do take some kind of action.